Get off me, I'll put it on you,
The Romford Bull, Johnny Fisher, has come back with a bang following his loss to Dave Allen back in May. Fisher got in there with a dangerous undefeated opponent over in Monte Carlo over the weekend, and then an absolute barnstormer, Johnny Fisher gallantly overcame being hurt badly in the first round, and he got back into the fight to ultimately score a massive KO in the fourth round. Wow man, what a big win. As Big John said, the Fishers have had to endure so much negativity following that KO loss to Dave Allen earlier in the year. I mean, I wrote Johnny Fisher off from ever winning a British title after that loss, but boy did Fisher look great against Ivan Balaz on Saturday night. He really has shut up all the haters now, and he's so entertaining as well, that Johnny Fisher. Shows so much heart, and he does whatever it takes for the win, and he did so against a guy in Ivan Balaz who's never lost before. Ivan Balaz may have only been 7-0 going into this fight, but he is the heavyweight champion of the Czech Republic. And again, he doesn't know how to lose, so we don't know what Ivan's ceiling is. Ivan may very well be European level worthy. It's not like this Ivan Balaz guy is a bum with a bunch of losses. No, Fisher overcame the adversity against a guy who doesn't know how to lose, and he absolutely poleaxed him in the end. Man, you've got to love the Fishers, don't you? Boy, have I eaten my words about Fisher not being on the level to win a British heavyweight title now. He'll probably go on to be a champion of Europe, knocking on the door at world level. No, let's have it right. The guy who Johnny Fisher fought may be undefeated, but he's beaten nobody, and he was brought here on very late notice to lose against Johnny Fisher. Ivan Balaz is a very low-level heavyweight, and that's why Johnny Fisher showed no respect for him and tried to rush him right at the start of the fight. But Johnny Fisher showed a very suspect chin again when he got caught by this Ivan guy. Ivan was robbed of a knockdown in this first round. Fisher cheated enough to where he ought to have been threatened with disqualification, and he definitely should have been deducted at least 2 points, and you could even make the case that Ivan could have continued on at the point that the fight was stopped. This was a farcical win. Fisher's chin was brought into question when he was dropped in the first Dave Allen fight, but made it the distance to win a robbery. He got brained in the Dave Allen rematch, and most people would deem that to be the full exposure of Johnny Fisher's lack of ability and lack of chin, and he was meant to be in there against a soft touch in Ivan Balaz just to get a standard comeback win. You know, he'll walk over him in the first round, but he gets hurt badly in there. Fisher literally got dropped, but the knockdown wasn't counted due to favourable refereeing, and he got away with blatant and continuous cheating in order to survive after being hurt so badly. So I definitely still stand on my prediction that Johnny Fisher will never win the British title. The current heavyweight champion of Great Britain is Jamie TKV, and I have him handily outboxing Johnny Fisher. Barry Hearn's son wouldn't want that fight for Fisher anyway. Fisher is already a former Southern Area champ, and the step above that is the English title. And I think Fisher may win an English title, maybe against the lowest possible level of competition that qualifies to fight for an English title. So yeah, Johnny Fisher came out absolutely guns blazing, expecting to roll over this guy, but the early onslaught didn't really faze Ivan. Fisher landed some heavy shots, but Ivan took them alright. The punches were kind of sloppy from Fisher. Then just over 2 minutes into the first round, Ivan landed a basic clubbing right hand over Fisher's jab, and Fisher's legs just went. Fisher clinched him in desperation, and a couple of tight shots in close from Ivan, mainly that left hook, had Fisher out on his feet. Fisher held on for dear life, and Ivan was trying to shrug Fisher off as, Fisher was clinching, which is not allowed. Then Ivan dropped Fisher with a left hook as Fisher was falling down. That's a knockdown. Ivan rocked Fisher. Fisher was desperately trying to clinch to stay on his feet, but he ended up on the ground anyway. He wasn't just pushed to the ground, he was holding to keep himself up after being hurt badly by punches, and he was actually ultimately sent down with a punch anyway. Clean. But the bench referee rules it a slip or a push or whatever, and he doesn't count the knockdown. Then, the former rugby player at Exeter University showed great survival tactics to hold on and see the round out. Nah, let's have it right. Fisher was not even trying to play it off like he was boxing in there. He was leading in just to initiate clinches in brazen fashion, and the referee was just letting him get away with it. He just dived into clinches for the whole last 30 seconds of the round after getting up from what should have been ruled as a knockdown. Ivan Balaz was being cheated in there. The referee should have deducted 2 points and threatened Fisher with a disqualification in that first round. Fisher clearly hadn't recovered in the minute between rounds. His legs still looked shaky, and he got rocked with another right hand 30 seconds into the second round. He held on again, then he finally got warned for his dirty tactics, but yet again, he was not penalised, so this only bought him time to recover. And not long after that, bosh, he leads in with a low blow, a left uppercut to the bollocks, and he doubles up with a left hook upstairs. Ivan had to take time to recover from the low blow, and Fisher was deducted just 1 point there for what was an intentional low blow. That's the second incident in this fight in which Johnny Fisher should have been deducted 2 points, and Fisher got time to recover after causing the pause in the action by landing the low blow. Fisher still looked a bit shaky after that, but he did buy himself enough time to recover with his cheating to where he would still be able to compete with this unknown novice who took the fight on short notice. And eventually, Fisher would put Ivan down with a left hook in the 4th round. He then dropped him again with a right, and after Ivan made the count for a second time, Fisher dropped him to a knee with a lead overhand right, and the referee waved off the fight. Ivan Balaz got straight back to his feet after the stoppage and he looked fine. Look, Johnny Fisher is entertaining, and that's the one thing I will say, as low level as he is. I will keep tuning into his fights because it's fun, and he is a nice kid. I am not a Johnny Fisher hater, but I do not blame anyone who is a Johnny Fisher hater. The hate comes from the fact that he gets more publicity, more promotion and more opportunities than other domestic heavyweights who are way better than him, because of the hype he has due to gimmicky shit. And with Matchroom being the ones who are pushing that hype, and with the favourable treatment we see him getting, like all the cheating he was getting away with in that fight with Ivan Balaz, as much as I don't agree with being a hater in any sense of the term, I still can't blame those who completely shit on Johnny Fisher and even start violating his dad and everything. I wouldn't go that route myself, but it makes sense why boxing fans have that hostility towards the Fishers. Boxing fans don't like being taken for mugs, and they feel like they are being taken for mugs when someone like Johnny Fisher gets shoved in their face so much. So in terms of what's next for Johnny Fisher, although I said he might be able to win an English title against a soft touch, the softest touch that the British Boxing Board of Control would actually sanction to fight for the English title, I want to see Johnny Fisher in a vacant English title fight against a former holder of that title who I do have beaten Johnny Fisher, and that's Solomon Dakers. Sol Dakers lost the English title by way of a round 1 knockout loss to David Adeleye exactly 1 year ago pretty much. Then Adeleye vacated the English and went on to win the British title, and the English title has been vacant since then. Before Fisher got exposed by Dave Allen, and right after Dakers got battered by Adeleye, the bookies probably would have had Fisher as a favourite to beat Dakers. But since then, Fisher has been exposed by Dave Allen, and he even got hurt by a random and survived by cheating. And Dakers pulled off a massive upset when he outboxed the 22-0 Ukrainian Vladislav Serenko on the Usyk Dubois 2 undercard to win a wide 10-round unanimous decision. So right now, I would heavily favour Dakers to completely outbox Fisher. But Fisher does have a puncher's chance in that fight. And Solomon Dakers is the highest level of competition that I think Fisher stands any remote chance against, which is why this is the fight to make for me. But Barry Hearn's son won't make that fight because on the chance, the 80 or 90% chance that Dakers schools Fisher, Fisher will be fully exposed. It will become clear as day that area level is his ceiling. Right now, I acknowledge Johnny Fisher as entertaining, but he is a hype job and I don't really rate him. But if he beats Sol Dakers in an English title fight, my ratings for him would go up significantly. But again, I don't see Barry Hearn's son putting Fisher in a fight like that. I reckon he's just going to fight bums until a big money gimmick fight comes along. And who can blame him? They don't care what us little sad boxing fans think. Maybe we should just stop talking about him. If Ivan Balaz did pull off the upset and stop Johnny Fisher, then that would have been the second big upset in a row on the card. As in the fight before, the welterweight champion of Great Britain Conor Walker came in as a 6-1 underdog and knocked out the Matchroom prospect Pat McCormack in the 12th and final round after a fun fight. He knocked him out of the ring. You'd love to see it. This was not a British title defence, as they went to Ponce Old Monte Carlo for the show, of course. The fact that Conor Walker came in as that much of an underdog was insane. What were the bookies thinking? Pat McCormack is so unproven in the pros, and Walker is a defending British champ who, before becoming British champion, lost a very disputed decision to a current world champion in Lewis Crocker. That was just last year, 2 fights before Crocker became a world champion. I've been trying not to gamble too much at the moment, but I literally put pennies on Conor Walker there because how could I not bet on Conor Walker with those odds? He should have been the favourite and he was that big of an underdog. It was poxy returns though, I'm telling you, pennies. But McCormack is the big Matchroom hype job innit, and that's why he was the betting favourite. Conor Walker is a Matchroom guy too, but McCormack is the one that they're trying to push, and that's why that upset knockout was so satisfying. The fight in which Walker won the British title against Harry Scarf was a big upset as well. Conor Walker is a G. I do love an underdog fighter like that. Fuck it, give Walker the Lewis Crocker rematch for Crocker's IBF world title. No, a Crocker won't give Conor Walker a rematch now that he's a world champ, surely not. And then in the main event, Peter McGrail lost a unanimous decision to Shabazz Massoud. An unfortunate result there. The point taken off McGrail was rough, for the rabid punch, because Massoud did the same foul and got away with it. And one judge gave it 8 rounds to 4 to Massoud, which a lot of fans do feel like is a very bad card. I kind of feel for Peter McGrail because he was deprived of that Dennis McCann fight on the Usyk Fury 2 undercard and had to fight the tricky Rhys Edwards on short notice. But Peter McGrail would have become a British boxing star if he fought McCann and beat him on that big card. But McCann failed a drugs test, so McGrail got robbed of that opportunity. My pal, who's followed Peter McGrail since he was an amateur and has also followed Dennis McCann's career quite closely as well, had McGrail winning that one. He told me that he reckons McCann was juicing because he knew that he was in for a long night. But now McGrail just lost to Shabazz Masood. It's a rough one, mate. But then again, aside from his drug test failure, maybe Dennis McCann was right in that press conference about McGrail being suited for the amateurs, with all of that ussy, as McCann said.
Off polluter and got gifted a draw.
Amateur this, amateur
You
that,
got gifted
amateur
a
this.
draw.
All the ussy. This is professional boxing. You can't be ussying.
I've heard some people say McGrail was robbed against Shabazz Masood, but he definitely didn't do enough for a convincing win. So maybe McGrail is a really athletic guy with fast hands and fast feet that's fun to watch, but he doesn't have it in him to outsmart and outbox someone convincingly over 12 rounds. Can I just say as well that the Monte Carlo crowd was tragic? All of those drunkards in tuxedos weren't even watching the fights. That's not a good boxing place. Anyway, you guys, drop your thoughts in the comments about the Fisher fight. Will Fisher ever improve? I mean, he probably won't. He sacked off Mark Tibbs to get with Tony Sims to try and make changes, and he still looks bad. Is he just shit? Can he not be helped? Will he ever win an English title? Would any of you guys go as far as to back him to win a British title? Do let me know what you think in the comments. Please like the video and hype the video. And you have been listening to O.M.E Boxing.